So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for attending our webinar today. We are super fortunate to have Meghan Hubner joining us, and we're going to be talking about securing your portfolio, how to create systems and processes that are going to help you support rapid business growth. And this is part of my ongoing mission to help real estate investors transition from the mindset of I'm buying a piece of property or a couple of pieces of property because I want to invest in real estate, into the mind space of I am an entrepreneur, I am a business owner, and in order to do that effectively, I need to make sure I know how to run a business. So this is where Meghan comes in. She has fantastic experience, and I'm going to go through her bio in just a couple of minutes, but I'm so excited to have her here, and I hope that you will learn as much from her as I have during our conversations over the past few weeks as we've gotten to know each other better. Just a quick disclaimer for anyone who is attending today, always make sure before you take action, you do your own research, and that is including, but obviously not limited to, talking to others about their experiences, talk to your legal, your accounting teams, and then make your own decisions. We want to make sure whether we're doing, a smaller type deal like a private lend, or whether we're doing something bigger like, a huge multifamily conversion, we always want to make sure that we've accessed all the information we need in order to be able to make good decisions moving forward. So this week, as we did with our last webinar, I am going to be giving away an elite ticket to the multifamily conference, which is in Toronto. It's May 26th to 28th. So Meghan will be choosing someone by the end of the webinar who is going to receive a free elite ticket to the conference. And if you have not bought your ticket and you unfortunately don't win by the end of the webinar, then you can scan the QR code and you will be taken through and you'll be able to grab a ticket for yourself if you choose. Just a quick reminder with Zoom, we would hope that we all kind of are Zoom experts at this point, but just in case you're new to Zoom, just a quick reminder how things work in the webinars. So there are, at the bottom, you can see there are different tabs. There is one that is a chat tab and then one that is a Q&A. So in our conversations back and forth, or when Meghan asks questions or for engagement, please use the chat tab. And then if you have a specific question you would like Meghan to cover at the end, or you would like us to discuss and offer our perspectives on, use the Q&A tab. The Q&A tab means that your questions do not get lost in the flow of the chat. And whereas obviously the chat, it just kind of goes through and passes by as the webinar progresses. And just a reminder too, when you are posting in the chat, you will see there's a drop down there. It defaults to hosts and panelists at the beginning of a webinar. So make sure you click the drop down and change to everyone if it's not already. And that way everybody can see it, as opposed to you just messaging Meghan and I privately. So our agenda for today, pretty simple. We're going to do quick welcome and introductions. We're going to give Meghan as much time as possible to share how she structures or how she views setting up a business and systems and processes to support that. Then we'll do a quick wrap up at the end before everybody heads back out. And I, of course, am Elizabeth Kelly. I am your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us and spending, I don't know if people are mostly off work and taking time away from the kids. Alternatively, if you've just grabbed a couple of minutes on your lunch hour from work and are joining us, I am honored to be your host. I've been an investor for coming up on 20 years now, and my loves are multifamily and rent to owns, but I specialize as a coach in helping people start real estate businesses from the ground up with the proper foundation. And that's why people like Meghan are so important in our network, because she becomes a partner in terms of assisting us with what we need to know to build that solid foundation. And Meghan has a ton of experience, over 12 years of industry expertise in sales and business management of multi-million-dollar territories in the healthcare industry. She also has marketing management diploma and a degree in entrepreneurial management. And then Meghan started her consulting practice to bring all these skills together in order to create a greater impact for dedicated small business owners. And whether we realize that or we feel like we're at that point in our journey, in actual fact, that is who we all are at this point when we're looking at investing in real estate. So Hubner Consulting works one-on-one with individual businesses to improve their processes in 4 main business areas. So Meghan divides things into sales and marketing, accounting and finance, operations, and human resources. So we are going to follow through with Meghan as she shows us over the next few slides how she kind of views each one, and then how all the different buckets, as that's what Meghan calls them, buckets. So how the buckets work together to help us build the solid foundation that we need. Thank you so much, Meghan, for joining us today, and welcome to our webinar.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. And thank you everyone for taking time on your Easter Monday to join us live today. If you're catching the replay, I hope you find it as valuable as if you were in person today.
Absolutely. Well, we're just excited to learn from you, Meghan, because I think this is kind of the first time you've sort of done something to a large group of investors sort of from the Ontario area anyways.
Yeah, the other work that I've done is actually for larger group settings has been more West-based. So this is, exciting to get in front of the Ontario audience. In the world of social media online and things that you can get easily down the rabbit hole, finding all the Ontario investors. So I definitely feel like I have met a lot of Ontario investors in the last few months here, as you kind of, pick apart and sort of understand where all of the investors are hiding out. And of course, you guys definitely have a different, advantage in Ontario, where the housing prices are slightly more affordable than they are in, say, downtown Vancouver or Whistler, which is where I live full time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So tell us about the pain points that you're kind of seeing, like with the investors who are joining today, and we want to make sure we're connecting with people kind of where they're at. So yeah. Where I'm seeing a lot of pain for investors right now is there's a lot of investment companies in the last couple of years that have gone under. Most of it is kind of cash flow management. It's the difference between, like, on paper, my business should make this amount of money and I should be able to cover my expenses, versus in reality, I'm stuck in private money, or, my cash flow is going over here, or I've had a big repair or maintenance bill and I'm kind of struggling with that. So financial is something that people are very much aware of. But I think the part that people are struggling with a little more sometimes is actually HR or operations. Where are you seeing the most struggle right now?
Absolutely. The first thing, like you said, that comes to mind is the actual finances of things. And so what I typically see is that, and I know that your coaching style is going to be different than some of the coaching styles out there. So I would assume that you have your people doing, net worth evaluations. How many times a year do you encourage?
Well, I just encourage people in general to know all of their numbers. So consistently going back every month, you're looking at it. I mean, even if it's just something simple like looking at your credit card bills. I mean, how many things do we have on subscription that we forget about? And then when you get a new credit card, all of a sudden you get all these notifications. That's an ideal time to go, hey, do I want to renew this, or do I want to dump it? But we should be looking at our credit card bills. We should be knowing our net worth. We should be updating our valuations. I actually have a pretty comprehensive spreadsheet I use with my clients. And I think it gives a lot of clarity, because people, especially when they're starting to struggle and in this environment right now, they don't want to look at the numbers.
No, that's the first thing that goes, right? The first thing that you go, I'm not going to look at it right now. So 2 questions I want to know from people is, like, how much does your business cost you every single month? And that's not necessarily just that property with that one mortgage, et cetera. Like, how much is your whole business costing you? What subscriptions are you paying? What marketing initiatives are you putting behind? Do you have a VA? Those are services that are kind of almost fixed every month that you're going to be chugging along. And if you don't know that your business costs you $2,500 just to run the business every single month, that's when you kind of get into the weeds and into the hot water of thinking, oh, wait a minute, well, I'm behind on this and now it's coming from here. And yeah, thank you for admitting that. Hiding the numbers, absolutely, right? So making sure that you really know your numbers so that you can have a clear snapshot of where you're at, and then you can make more strategic decisions in your business. Definitely an area that we stick with. Yeah.
And Jen, we really appreciate that honesty, because you are absolutely not alone. There are a lot of people, as Mark said, putting your head in the sand and just, hoping that that'll kind of blow over. And the reality is, in a market like this, most people, if you've started investing in the last 10 years, you've looked amazing. And a lot of, kind of the advice has been great and the programs have been great, because the market was consistently going up, and that allowed you sort of that room to not have to know your numbers as well, and to not have to be as strategic with your decisions. But the last 12 months have really showed us some of the cracks with, assuming that every strategy works in every market, and assuming that, you can get by with just kind of, an Excel spreadsheet and sending everything to the accountant at the end of the year, and not paying attention from, for the 11 months in between kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think there's additional variables too that we haven't faced before. Of course, we've got the climbing interest rates. We've got big extensions on, say, product, flooring, the access to trades, those types of things that we haven't seen in the past, right? Before, be able to get a project done in, say, 6 months. Well, some projects are taking 8-9 months. That has tightened up a little bit over the past 6 months or so, but a year ago, that's what I was seeing from tons of people. Like, this project is taking me X amount of time longer than I expected. I wasn't prepared for X amount additional costs now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And Jen actually asked an interesting question. She said, how do you update the fair market value of your properties? Do I ask a real estate agent to provide a valuation? In theory, what I like to be is what I would consider an expert in my market. So I like to at least know, what properties, similar properties are valued at, how the valuations work with the appraisers in my market. I want that level of knowledge. But yes, you could talk to a realtor, or, if you talk to property managers, generally have a pretty good idea of how to value properties and that kind of thing. But I think, Meghan, it sounds like people are pretty excited about what you have to share with us. So why don't you jump into your slides, and we'll let you run with it for a bit.
For sure. Okay. So some of this Elizabeth has already covered, but we'll go into the foundation of what we are talking about today. So thank you, Elizabeth, for having me. I'm thrilled to speak to your audience. I have such a committed passion to helping real estate investors not get into that area of despair where they are now going bankrupt, where they are liquidating properties, where they are getting caught because their business has grown so fast, they haven't put systems in place, and they don't have a great snapshot of where their business actually is. So I absolutely love working with this category of real estate investing because I know that if we catch you guys early enough and build that foundation, you're going to be safe. You're going to be secure. And that's ultimately what I know Elizabeth wants for everyone that comes into her network. So what areas of business actually drive business? Deal acquisition, refinancing, asset management, property management, if that's part of your portfolio, and renovations. And what areas of business don't necessarily drive business? Inbox management, logging deal calls, coordinating with plumbers, expense tracking, repetitive walkthroughs. These are some of the areas that we're going to address today about how you can put systems in place to make sure that you're not getting bogged down with all the little details and you still get to work on your business, not just in your business. So as Elizabeth mentioned, who am I? A wife, a mother, a sister, a lover of everything to do with entrepreneurship, the outdoors and sports. If I'm not biking, skiing, hiking in the mountains of Whistler, British Columbia, you will find me traveling, which is where I am right now. My family and I are living in Querétaro, Mexico, 2.5 hours north of Mexico City. We actually have a little project, a real estate project here on the go. We are living, working, trying to learn some Spanish. I'm not doing very well at it, but that's sort of me in a nutshell. I have a marketing management diploma and entrepreneurial management degree. I specialize in case analysis in university. And I sometimes feel like my 20-year-old self knew my 40-year-old self better because I dove right into entrepreneurial management. And then I went on and did 12 years in the corporate world, managing multi-million-dollar territories in pharmaceutical and medical sales, and managing those territories as well. And in 2019, I walked away from the corporate dream that I had to pursue another dream. And that was to make a greater impact in the lives of entrepreneurs such as yourself. Now, I know that you are all here today because you want to expand your business. You want to expand your goals in a strategic way, and you probably have some pretty big goals set for yourself. Elizabeth, do you spend a lot of time on goal setting?
We definitely do in the beginning, because how do you know if you're on the right road if you don't know what the finish line looks like? So we don't make it the be all and end all, but I think in order to be able to evaluate your progress, you have to know what success looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the thing that I found in 2019 is that I got to my goal. I got to regional sales manager for operations in the operating room, managing the entire province of British Columbia. But the thing that I failed to do was to set another goal. And so when I looked at myself in my corporate life, I achieved everything I was looking for. I had, the vacation property. I was living in the suburbs, did all the things, got the title. And I thought, wait a minute, forgot to reprioritize. What's the next goal? And that's when I realized that the goal actually didn't include a corporate life anymore. It included traveling more, walking away from corporate life, leaving my ego at the door when I left my business cards behind so that I could pursue a different dream. And so I encourage you all today, if you set your goal 15 months ago, 18 months ago, 2.5 years ago, when you started in real estate, have you updated your goal? Have you set a new one for yourself? Have you set a goal for 2023? And have you set maybe a 2 to 5 year business plan? Because at the end of the day, majority of us start in real estate as an employee. Some of us have a goal of becoming an entrepreneur. Some of us have a goal of staying an employee and becoming an entrepreneur on the side. But at the end of the day, we're still all entrepreneurs because we're running a business. So I encourage you to take a look at your goal and realize, did you achieve it? And the next one is, have you set a new one? Are you launching yourself forward? What are you thinking about? How are you growing your mindset about what is actually possible for you?
I love that, is really opening it up and saying, you know, a lot of my clients will do sort of the 5-year plan, but I think it's important every year to evaluate that 5 years in the future so that you always have something that you're aiming towards. You always have something that gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning and attack the day.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you guys, your network here that you have on the call, your network with Elizabeth or the other connections you've made in the real estate industry, those are your people. Tap in, hang out, spend time, engage, bring your biggest fears to someone you know who is a little bit ahead of you. Because if we surround ourselves with people all doing those same things, we're going to get to that 3 to 5 year goal a lot faster than if we go and we talk to, I love my family. I love my friends, but if they're not in the same pathway as I am, they're going to start pulling you back a little bit. But in actual fact, you guys can go, you can grow, you can go as fast as you want to when you have the right systems and support in place. So I really encourage you to take a look. When was the last time I reevaluated my goals? Have I been tracking to achieve them? And where am I at now? So what are we currently seeing in the industry, in the market? We are seeing business owners that are overwhelmed with a long list of tasks and to-dos. You might be nervous about the market right now. You might be juggling real estate, a 9-to-5 family life, aging parents, but you desire growth and you just keep spinning your wheels and you're not getting further ahead. So this is a great time. If you are in a position of stabilization, if you're in a position of slowing down on your purchasing, if you're in a position of re-strategizing, maybe you're shifting and you're going to short-term rentals from long-term buy and holds, maybe your priorities are shifting. This is a great time right now to start working on your foundation and actually attack your business as the CEO that you really are. Making sure that we are putting systems in place so that when you look at what that next goal is, you're actually really preparing yourself for growth. And you are putting a solid foundation in right now. You know, I had a real estate agent client a few months ago say to me, he's like, this is the best time for me to invest in my business. I'm not going to be fearful that I am slow right now. I'm going to be excited for the growth that's around the corner. And so I'm going to put that foundation into play now so that I can prepare for the growth that I want to achieve in the next 6 to 12 months. So what I do is I take a look at the entire business. We break your business down into 4 main business buckets. And I encourage you all to do this, regardless of whether you have 1 property or 101 properties. Take a look at your business from this strategic point of view. Take a look at your business in the fact that you have human resources, accounting, finance, marketing, sales, and operations. And those are the 4 pillars of your business. So I would love to hear from you guys in the chat. Where are your favorite What are your favorite sections? What are the 2 sections that you love the most? Maybe Elizabeth,
I'll tell you mine while we're waiting for everybody else. So I love sales and marketing.
Okay.
And I really enjoy operations as well as a second. Accounting, finance, and human resources are unfortunately tied in last place for me. I don't enjoy that. You know, the tough conversations, the tough numbers, the tough decisions, I find most of those come in either HR or numbers. They don't generally come in marketing and sales.
Yes, absolutely. And that is exactly what I see as well. Those are the top 2 that people love. Love the marketing, love the sales, enjoy the operations, although it is a little bit overwhelming. Don't love, okay, we've got someone here, Danielle, you love HR. This is amazing. We've got a couple of people, HR and operations. Interesting, they're going hand in hand. Operations, sales, HR, accounting, finance. So everyone's a little bit varied, which is actually a great indication of how everyone's business is a little bit varied. But exactly what Elizabeth said, sales and marketing and operations are commonly the top 2. The biggest ones that people don't like, of course, are human resources and accounting, finance. Exactly why you said. They don't like tough conversations. They don't like to have those disappointing calls with people. They don't want to be worried about juggling the numbers all the time. Maybe it's something as simple as saving your receipts and actually submitting them to your accounting software. Just those little actions of things that we can't stand in our business. And so I encourage you all to start taking a look at your business in this strategic way so that you say, wait a minute, okay, human resources. Well, I don't have human resources in my business because I'm a business of one. Actually, you do, because you work with multiple different contractors, tradespeople, your lawyers, your agents. You probably have a power team of 7 to 10 people in your realm on any project that you do. So you do have human resources in your business. It's just not showing up in the traditional employee sense, where you have performance reviews every year and you're bringing a job, you're writing just your job description, you're hiring and you're firing. It's just showing up differently. And in the way that we run businesses these days, human resources is going to continue to evolve and change and become more dynamic as we just continue to lean more on consultants and short-term employees and things. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into a few of these areas. What I encourage you to do is if something resonates, or if you think, oh, wait, that applies to my business, I would actually love to talk about that in my business a little bit more, or it's one thing that I would like to change in my business, jot it down on a note. Don't try and take notes of everything that I'm saying because it's going to be overwhelming. You're going to sort of miss the high level stuff. So just take a couple different topics from each item and say, those are something I'm going to work to change in my business. And then you can watch the recording for the rest of the stuff.
Perfect. And that's a great point to add in there. Everybody will be sent the recording via email by the end of the week. My outstanding assistant, Mary Beth, will do up a nice video for you, and then you'll get it in the recap email at the end. So you don't have to worry about that.
Perfect. Okay, so human resources. What kind of people are involved in your business? We've got contract workers, we've got employees, we've got VAs. But what I want you to do is going back to the topic about goals. Where do you want to be in 2 to 5 years? Those are the systems and the decisions and the policies that you want to put in place today to start building towards that. Now, I had a great conversation with an investor last week, and they said, I hired a VA. I'm so excited to get some of these tasks off my list and have this VA help support me. And the VA came in and they said, what can I do for you? I thought they were going to come in and do all kinds of VA tasks. I don't know. Now I've got to go and write a job description. Now I've got to go train this person. Now I've got to make sure that my voice is being heard as they go and execute. Maybe it's client communication or do a social media post for me. So if you are looking to hire someone, a contract worker, an employee, or just a VA, always go back to the basics of saying, okay, what is this person going to do? Do I have standard operating procedures in place? How is my voice going to be shown for this person who's going to be doing the work or the client communications? And how long is it going to take me to train them? Right? We don't have someone coming on a T4 or a W2. We don't have anyone who's going to be full-time for us, but we do have a VA who we want to make sure is actually executing exactly what we want. So put those systems in place, put those things in place for yourself. Take a time block, take an hour or two and say, you know what, I'm going to focus on nothing but the tasks that I want to outsource to this person right now, and get that all organized right now. And again, making sure that you're putting those human resources building blocks in place for where you want to be in 2 to 5 years. Is this somebody that you want to potentially bring on for 10 hours a month right now, but you want them to go to 20 hours a week? Put those systems in place. Look for the person who's going to resonate the most with your business and your vision of where you want to go, as opposed to somebody who's just going to be a band-aid and a quick fix for getting some email blast sent out for yourself.
Yeah. And I think one of the game changer books to help people with that is Who Not How. And I actually they have the impact filter, which helps you get down in one place. It's a system where you can literally just write down, like, what am I looking for? What do I want them to do? And then you can help transition that into the business plan. I love that, Megan.
Excellent. The other thing that we're going to talk about a little bit later is the high value versus low value tasks. So this is another little workshop that you can do for yourself. If you are feeling overwhelmed right now with everything you have on your plate, take half an hour, take 45 minutes in a space of pure clarity. Write down, what are your high value tasks that drive business, like we talked about on the previous slides? What are the low value tasks that are not driving business? Those low value tasks could then be extracted to actually make a job description for that person that you're going to bring in.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs like us make the mistake too of thinking that nobody else can do things as well as we do, and that therefore we're the ones who have to do everything. And I've got news for you. My assistant, Mary Beth, is infinitely better at keeping me organized, managing my schedule, helping me with my inbox than I am on my own.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. You know what? I will be honest with you. I have someone who helps me with social media. I love Canva. I love it. It's an amazing program. I enjoy engaging with the platform. I love talking to people. I love getting into the DMs and learning about their business and things. I do not love knowing when I need to post. I do not love thinking, what are my 12 pillars of content that I'm talking about this month? She comes to me. She helps support me. That was the best decision I could make in my business.
Love it.
Okay, accounting, finance, the other area that people struggle with that they don't love. Quite often I hear from people that other people's money is really easy to get. And in actual fact, it's allowed me to grow and scale my business way faster than I was expecting, which is fantastic. But like we said earlier, how often are you actually taking a look at your entire business? How often are we saying, how much is this business actually costing me a month? How much room do I have for a buffer if this project goes over? Where is the next financing coming for them for the next project? I would assume that most of you guys on this call today are actually really good at your numbers. You're probably really good at mastering spreadsheets and understanding, yes, this deal makes sense, or no, this deal is garbage. I'm throwing it out with the bathwater. However, what you might not excel at is those fixed costs we have in our business, making sure that they're going all the way through. Do you have a receipt management system? What are you doing with your receipts? What are you doing with your mileage tracking? How are you actually counting for that at the end of the year? Are you doing things on a weekly basis, or are you waiting till the end of tax season and then saying, where did I drive on what day? I will tell you, as a previous pharmaceutical sales rep, there is no way you will remember where you were on Monday driving your car around versus Monday in a year from now. So the more systems and more action you can take on a weekly basis, the easier this component is going to be. So I encourage you all to have a standard operating procedure for invoicing and for billing. I would encourage you all to get a software program that works for you. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say QuickBooks is the only thing that's out there. I'm not sure what you recommend, Elizabeth, to your people, but there is lots of different software accounting out there. Implement one of them and then take action on it every single week, every single month, whenever you feel is best to reconcile. The other thing that I see happen a lot for you guys is that you're working with multiple contractors, you're working with multiple vendors. You are getting a request on a Thursday for an invoice to be paid tomorrow because the guy's got to pay his crew for the last 2 weeks or the last 6 weeks because he hasn't invoiced you because his back end and his accounting is crap, right? And so that's now starts falling on you. The more you can say, you know what, I pay 5 business days after the invoice is received, the better. Put a communication strategy in place for all of the contractors that you're dealing with. Now, some of them, this is going to take some nurturing and some finessing because you're going to have to say, well, John will never, he's never going to invoice me every week. It's just not his ammo. Okay, well, I'll tell you right now, if John wants to get paid consistently so he can pay his team, he might have to make a few changes in his business. So I want you guys to hold the boundary of what is potentially possible. How is it going to work for you? Because when we go invoice on a Tuesday and then a Thursday and then the Friday and then the next Monday again, you've just distracted yourself a lot. You have taken the 15-minute task and you have basically, taken yourself off social media, gone to do the task, gone into your bank, realized that something else didn't get paid. And it probably takes you an hour of distracting your time to actually pay that one invoice. When in actual fact, if you can get all your contractors, all of your tradespeople saying, invoice me this week, I will pay you Friday of the next week. The more consistency you can build into your business, and you guys own that power. You can absolutely, remember, these are all small business owners as well. Unless we're working with a huge company that is actually has their own terms and they're very specific in place, you're probably not going to have a request to get paid within 12 hours because they'll have their own terms and conditions. So treat your business and treat your team like an actual business and ask for these things. Put some boundaries in place for yourself. And then take your receipt tracking, your mileage tracking and things as you go throughout the week so that at the end of the year, you're not trying to figure out where you were on Monday. Because like I said, I don't even know where I was on Monday.
Yeah. And I'd love to add to that. I think that is a fantastic piece, Meghan, and include those expectations in the contracts you sign with people. Because yes. I've been after my contractor for weeks now. He finally sent me his invoices. He texted me handwritten, like, I went to this property and I did this. So here's the bill. Here's how much I'm charging you. I'm like, I can't do anything with this. There's no business number, there's no HST number. Like, do you want to get paid or not? So it's really helpful to have that conversation up front and say, hey, you're a contractor. These are the expectations. Every 2 weeks, you are submitting an invoice to me and I will pay you within 5 days, so that you've had that conversation. It's totally transparent from the beginning. It heads off so many HR issues in the future.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. The more consistent you can put in play. And remember, people that when you have one business, you can still create these systems, because if you've got one property and you're going to 10 properties, you want these things in place now so that you're not trying to be reactive when you get to 10 properties.
Yeah.
The systems in place now. Act like the CEO, right? You are paying them good money to do the job that they're doing. So you can actually ask for and request this. So increase your confidence as well. I'm just going to check the chat here quickly. Jen, you're looking for an excellent VA. I have 2 different companies. They are both located in Canada. No, sorry, one's Philippines, one's Canada. If you connect with me after, I can look for those names for you. Lumber's accounting, finance. Yes. So I encourage you all to actually think of where these pieces are and what you can build out. Because again, going back to the goal for 2 to 5 years, the more systems and things that we can put in place now, the easier it is. Now, the other thing too is, what if you work in tandem with your husband? And if you say, I'm sick this week, I've got COVID, I'm out with the kids, or I'm taking them on a camp out and things, right? They can't execute the business the way that you have been running the business unless they know what the actual flow of the business is. So that's why it's important to create a standard operating procedure. So what I say to clients all the time is making sure that, if I needed to come into your business tomorrow because your entire team is out or your project manager is out, I need to have step-by-step directions on how to execute paying that invoice.
Yes.
So that you
Absolutely
could potentially go on a vacation one day. Maybe you have a VA who can then, coordinate the contractors, things like that.
I love too the fact of writing it down, because what I find is when we have systems, so let's say, for example, we're doing self-management and we don't have to place a new tenant every day or every week, sometimes not even once a month. So if we go through and we write down that process or that system that we've created, then if we figure out it's amazing, we keep it. And if we figure out that there's a flaw and a bad tenant got in, then we have the opportunity to go back and revisit that process and say, where could I have stress tested this better? What is missing from this? How do I take this process to the next level so this doesn't happen again? If we don't write anything down, then 6 months later, when we need to find a new tenant, we're going, wait, what software do I use and who do I need to talk to? And I can't remember, do I do this first or do I do this next?
Did I do Craigslist advertisement or did I just go straight to Facebook Marketplace? You have no clue.
Exactly. So not just thinking about this, but actually taking the time to write this down is absolutely key for the growth of your business, so that you're not making the same mistakes twice.
Yep, absolutely. And then store it in one central drive. Store it on your Google Drive. Don't store it on your computer. Store it on a cloud-based somewhere. Store it in an area that you can have access to and your business partner can have access to as well. And then consistently store things the same way. Not on your computer, downloaded here one time, not on the cloud the next time. Make sure they're all in one file, RAI business, and then you can break it into these 4 buckets: human resources, accounting, finance, etc., and then break it down even further so that you know exactly where that document's going to be stored.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, even further, if you wanted to, you could implement a naming convention where you are naming all of your files in the same way. So you can say, you could do accounting, then you could do the date, and then you could do the topic, so that you don't have 50 different documents that are all kind of labeled the same, a little bit differently. And so you're like, oh, was this the standard operating procedure for bringing in a new tenant, or was it this one here? Well, this one is a most recent date. So then you're just using one document and you're updating that one document all the time, because you always know that it's going to be this, and then this, and then this. So your naming convention stays the same.
Yeah, the nomenclature is so important if you want to be able to search. My husband's an engineer, so I kind of benefited when we were starting our business. For those of you who are engineers here, your brains are just a little bit different from everybody else's. So the very first thing he did when we started talking about creating systems and processes was he created a process and wrote it down about how we're going to create future processes. And there was everything was, categorized, and every property we buy is going to have the same set of 10 subfolders, and then everything gets saved in there. Everybody has access.
Yes, yes, exactly. Especially when you get to multiple properties, right? If you are not categorizing your filing the same way each time, you're going to run into the same problem. It's just going to end up getting messy. Okay, so next we go on to the favorite topics that people like with the marketing and sales. So as far as the marketing goes, a lot of times we put so much pressure on ourselves, especially in this day of social media. Now, when I first started working online, I was nervous to video. Of course, I was nervous to video. I would take 15 shoots just to get one little 30-second clip that I thought, oh, I think that's okay to put out. But the thing with the marketing is the more that you can dial into what are you actually selling? What's your goal? Why are you here? The easier that messaging is going to be. I had a chat with a real estate investor this last week, and she had posted up an actual post that said, I am not a coach. Here's what I am. And I thought it was such a good post because it gave so much clarity for people. And so I ask you to go back to your marketing and think, okay, well, what is my purpose of being on social media? What is the purpose of me being on LinkedIn? What is the purpose of me doing a video on Instagram? Am I looking for investors? Am I looking to empower other people to make scary decisions? Am I looking to encourage more women to be investors? And that's what this investor was. She said, I'm very clearly someone who is looking to empower more women to get into real estate and manage their financial future. I'm not a real estate investing coach. And I would say the same thing. I am not a real estate investing coach. I am not here to tell you to buy, sell, hold, or burn. I'm here to tell you to organize the back end of the business so you can do more buy, sell, holding, and burn. So when you align your marketing message to what you're actually putting yourself out there for, it becomes a little bit easier for yourself. As far as the sales go, you might say, well, I don't have any sales in my business. I'm not going out landing deals and things. But if you have investors that are coming in, if you have private money, if you're bringing on joint venture partners, if you're working with anyone, you have sales in your business because they need to be feeling like they're confident in investing in you and in your business. So that goes back to tying into your marketing message. So if you are struggling with putting yourself out there on social media, take a few minutes, jot down a little mind map in the middle. What am I? What do I stand for? You want to, let's pretend you're buying your second property and you are looking for, I don't know, a silent money partner. Think about what you need to talk about and what that person needs to hear in order for them to feel confident investing in you. Go back to what the goal is, go back to what the objective is. As far as marketing plans go, yeah, there's lots of different marketing initiative plans that I put in place with clients, whether it's a 6-month plan, whether it's a 12-month plan. We take a look at their entire business and say, okay, if you have a program, when do you want to launch that program next? When do you need to start? And we work back over the calendar year. You can kind of do the same thing with your buying. Maybe you want to buy again in 4 months. You can work your whole plan back around that. What's stopping you from buying? Is there any marketing initiative you need to put behind yourself? But I will always tell you, especially when it comes to video, you are always going to be further ahead than the person who hasn't started. So keep that in mind. You are here today live on this webinar because you are further ahead than other people. So make sure that you don't minimize your success and make sure that you feel really confident and grounded in what you have to offer to the market as far as your sales and marketing goes, because like I said, you are much further ahead than a lot of other people who haven't gone there yet.
That's such a great point, Megan. I love that. And I saw a reel, and I don't know the exact truth behind it, but I saw a reel the other day, and it said, if you spend 18 minutes a day for an entire year on a specific subject matter, you will know more than 95% of people out there about that subject matter. You will be a subject expert with 18 minutes a day. I'm like, I can do 18 minutes a day. I just need to choose what I want to spend my time on, right? And that's the challenge a lot of us have as investors is, you know, the kids go to bed, or, you know, the hubby goes off, or the partner goes off to do their own thing. And then we're like, okay, I have an hour to do real estate. And you're like, where do I start?
Yes.
What do I do with my time? Like, where am I going to get the biggest return for my investment of time?
Yep, absolutely. And that's it. That's when it goes back to that high-low task that I was talking about. Okay, we've got our high-low task, right? Don't write 75 things on your high-low tasks, but make sure that you know what your solid 12 steps are. When you get those 18 minutes every single day, what are those 12 steps that are going to get you ahead? If your goal is this year to buy your first multifamily, Well, you might be needing to read another 12 pages in the multifamily book. You might be needing to catch up on a webinar that Elizabeth ran last week that talked specifically about about multifamily. You may need to build connections on your network and say, you know what, I don't have a coach right now. I'm looking to get a coach. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to go and I'm going to learn 2 main things about multifamilies in my next 18 minutes. So you jump into Instagram and you actually use that as a learning platform to make sure that maybe you have 3 or 4 people in multifamilies already that you are following, you're tracking, you're learning from them. Don't overwhelm yourself with 60 people doing multifamilies. Find the ones that resonate with your voice the most and with the way that you operate your business, and go and learn from their content in those 18 minutes. I think it was Jesse Isler who did a post on that this week about the 18 minutes and how much extra you get from that. But when you have that list on your wall of the high value tasks, it's going to drive you back to those. I'm just going to answer this question that Stephanie has here. As a real estate investor, what's the need for marketing? I feel like I need to create social media posts regarding my real estate journey, but I'm not sure what the end goal is. I just feel that if I don't, I'm behind. What are some of the goals? That's a really excellent point, Stephanie. So what is your goal? Elizabeth, maybe you can comment to this. What the quantitative things that you help people goal setting around?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it has a lot to do with what you're looking to accomplish. So if your goal is to buy a property in the next 6 months, then your social media presence, you'll want to focus on, talking about, maybe you talk about your journey, maybe you talk about, the great people that you've met. Maybe you do a post and you say, hey, I'm looking for recommendations for an amazing realtor, or, I'm looking to connect with wholesalers. Like, usually your social media is a reflection of what you want to accomplish in the future. So, but maybe you're in a situation where you have deals, but you don't have partners. So now you need to think about, well, from social media, what am I looking to do? Well, I want to connect with new people. They don't necessarily have to be real estate people, though. And this is one of, I think, the common mistakes real estate investors make, is we think that our next business partner has to be a real estate investor. And some of my best partnerships have been with people who know nothing about real estate, but they recognize the value, they recognize my experience and expertise. They're like, I want to place my money with you, and I just want you to help me make sure it's a good investment opportunity. So if that's the case, then I'm talking to people about, how do you choose a good investment opportunity? How do you choose a good partner? I'm talking about the things that differentiate me from everybody else out there in the space, because there's a lot of real estate chatter going on, but how many people are actually providing good, high quality information like you're getting from Meghan today?
Absolutely. And so that's great, Elizabeth. That's absolutely perfect. Going back to what your goals are. So if your goal is to secure a silent partner, if your goal is to get your first multifamily, figure out what your goal is, and then your messaging for your marketing is going to link back to that. You might say, yes, you want people to follow along in your real estate journey, but maybe you just want people to get confidence that they could do this too. Maybe your goal is actually to look for a property. And so maybe you start talking more about the property you're looking for. And so really understanding what your goal is. And if this is not necessarily your 2 to 5 year goal, this is like, what am I doing this 6 months? What am I doing right now? What do I want? Do I need do I want a basement conversion? Do I want a multifamily? Do I want to hold right now? Do I want to stabilize right now? What are your goals? And then that's going to make your marketing easier. I hope that helps you. Yes, Jason, definitely building credibility, sharing your knowledge, bringing your value, networks. In this day and age, I think that it's taken a few years for people to start really understanding how to comfortably learn to network in the online space. I can say, because I've been in Mexico for the last 7 months, I feel a little disconnected to my local community. So I've been forced to network in a different way. This is how I met Elizabeth, is actually really getting comfortable with networking in a different way. And so even though you might be across the country or in another province, et cetera, from somebody that you're talking with, really trying to engage in networking in a positive way so that you feel really empowered by it and not feeling like, oh, what kind of credibility am I bringing today? How am I going to share my knowledge? That type of thing.
Yeah, I like that. I think another piece that's really important too is, even when you're starting out, you might feel like you don't have a lot of knowledge to bring, but your ethics and your integrity are present and with you from day one. And, there's a lot of kind of industries out there, construction, for example, where people have this impression that, there's a lot of integrity missing in that particular industry. And I think it's important, if you don't have a lot of deals to talk about, if you're just attending, and I've talked to a couple of people in the last couple of weeks about attending networking events, and they're going, oh, but, I don't have anything to say, then just ask questions. Real estate investors, we love to talk about ourselves. Let's face it. You never show up at a networking event with real estate investors and there's dead silence and everybody's looking at each other with nothing to say. So ask questions, be a sponge, and show up with the mindset that I just want to learn. And if you approach social media like that, I think it's a fantastic way to connect with people too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, now I'm going to the next one. This is where the bulk of people are having the breakdown. This is the heavy, overwhelming, too many tasks, not enough time. I'm juggling on the side of my 9 to 5. This is the area that you typically use a lot of foundational support. So what's the business flow? How does your product get to market? Well, what's my product? My product is a house that I'm selling, or a house that, or a rental opportunity that I'm putting forth to the market. How do we standardize in this area? So there's a lot of different software systems that you can use out there. You can use project management software. You can use property management software. You can use a CRM. You can use the Google Drive. There's tons of different areas. The biggest thing that I want to talk about with operations is the fastest way to efficiency is by changing one thing at a time. But the biggest thing about changing one thing at a time is changing the habit. So I don't want you to leave this webinar today saying, I'm going to implement a CRM and a project management software, and I'm going to start tracking everything. I'm going to build a funnel of what my actual portfolio looks like. It's too much, too much. I want you to take one area from that high value, low value list, one area from your operations that says this can use some tweaking. This is a repeatable task that I do time and time again. It's a big time waste. You know how many times I forgot to take a photo of the date on the hot water tank on my last walkthrough? Those things drive me crazy, right? Okay, boom, you can do a walkthrough checklist. Walkthrough checklist that can be duplicated and duplicated and duplicated so that you will never forget to take that photo of that hot water tank again. Even though it's something that you may have done 30 times this year, it's still a task that, number one, can be done with more efficiency usually. And number two, can possibly be outsourced. When we take a look at our 2 to 5 year goals, maybe you're going to start to implement an acquisitions manager who's actually going to be doing all your walkthroughs for you. Well, you want his eyes to be exactly the same as your eyes. And so you want to make sure he is following that 75-step checklist as he does the walkthrough for you to gather the information, because that property is a 2-hour drive away from your house and it was much closer to that person. So think of an area that's bogging you down right now that you can easily implement standardization in for repeatable tasks to help you get closer to your goals. Again, going back to the high value, low value tasks, this is maybe where you're hiring a VA. This is maybe where you're starting to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to hire a social media manager, but I'm going to get them to do X, Y, and Z in a repeatable way. So show of hands here, how many of you find that you are struggling with the overwhelm, that the operations and the day-to-day is really bogging you down, that it's an area that you actually really enjoy in your business, but it feels heavy, clunky? Drop a note in the comments, raise your hand.
Got 5 hands, 6 hands raised.
Yeah.
Oh, we're at 10.
Yeah.
You're speaking our language, I think, Megan.
Perfect. Glad to hear it. So now let's drop into the chat here. What's one thing in your operational segment that you could quickly and easily create a repeating task for, duplicate something, outsource? What's one area that you could easily see yourself streamlining to make ease and flow happen in your business? Social media.
Social media.
Consistent client follow-up. That's a really good one, Sydney. Consistency is huge in client follow-up. That is a great area that you could actually automate with some type of email software that goes out after that person has booked a call with you. Bookkeeping, yes, always super clunky. Monthly management summaries, yes. Accounting follow-ups, bookkeeping. Product warranty tracking, great one, Kevin. Ooh. So what would the standard operating procedure be behind product warranty tracking? What steps would you put into place? Okay, so we have contacted the, I don't know, let's, what product do you want to use, Kevin? Let's run through it right now. I was gonna say hot water.
Cindy, unless
Dryer.
I'm
Okay,
mistaken, Cindy's a realtor too. So there's a lot of opportunity here, Megan. You're going to help a lot of people.
Fantastic. Depreciation for taxes. Absolutely. Okay, so let's go back to the dryer warranty tracking. Great example, Kevin. So I'm going to create a situation in my mind that has this property on Smith Street, completely automated. So I'm going to use a software system like Monday.com, and in Monday.com, I'm going to have the property. I'm going to have all of the workflows attached to this specific property. And then I'm going to have a second section in that property that says warranties. And the warranty that I'm going to put in there is I'm going to say new dryer, GE, purchased on this date, potential expiring on this date, product warranty attached. And I'm going to link the actual receipt directly to that line item within this one segment for Smith Street. I'm going to have everything there in that one folder. And in 4 years, I'm going to get a auto notification that property's life cycle might be up. Because let's pretend it's a dryer, and we all know things are not meant to last a decade this year. It doesn't matter how much you pay. They're probably only going to last 4 years because it's a high volume, small multifamily where there's only 2 washer and dryers. And so you can actually put a reminder for yourself in 4 years to check that, or you can link that warranty directly to that actual line item for Smith Street. Same thing for leasing and conditions. Leasing and lease terms and conditions should probably actually be used through a software program like Buildium, where you can take everything from that property, the lease terms and conditions. You could even do this for the dryer if you wanted to, Kevin, and you could actually attach all of those line items directly to that property in Buildium. And then you're getting automatic reminders when things are coming up.
I think one of the biggest challenges I had, Megan, was I'm the type of person where I like to take handwritten notes. And one of the biggest challenges I had was transitioning from handwritten notes, carrying a calendar around with me, transitioning to online. Is there anybody else here who's struggling with this piece of sort of going with the automation? The reality is, when we shift to automation, we open up this world where other people can help us. So now my calendar is online. Now I have Calendly links. People can book time. I don't waste my time going back and forth with emails trying to book time. I put important things into my calendar. My assistant sees it. My family can check my calendar. When we embrace the tools that are available to us, no matter how much we tell ourselves, I like to handwrite things, like handwrite your gratitude journal, handwrite your goals for the year, but automate where you can, because these reminders that come up, like Megan's talking about, these are gold. They will save so much of your mental bandwidth and give you the opportunity to really focus on your business. Take the automation, take the reminders, and instead of saying, but I like to handwrite, say, what would be possible if I gave up this and embraced this instead?
Yep, absolutely. You know what? That does not mean that you can't have pen to paper. I love journals. I love beautiful journals. And you know what? All my client meetings, I take notes as I go, and then I can dump it back into my project management software to say, okay, we're talking marketing initiatives in 3 weeks because we don't have enough time right now. We're dealing with KPIs right now. And so those KPIs we want to complete in the next 10 days. I'm not going to remember all that stuff. But when you dump it into some of this, you have the combination of the best of both worlds. Okay, I'm just going to slide back in the chat here. With many of these tasks, the first task requires us to do, example, new product warranty. It would be great for a VA to do, yes. But the first task to do is actually extracted from the warranty card information and putting the info into whatever folder we created. You don't want to do those tasks, which is why it's a great idea to have those types of tasks outsourced to a VA, as long as you have a standard operating procedure and you know exactly how they're going to input them into your system. So the steps for that situation would be, okay, new dryers are coming in, new washers are coming in. I have a VA. The VA has been working with me for a couple months now. Last time I did this for one of my buildings, and now I'm going to get the VA to do it. VA, here is what I'm asking. It's clearly laid out in the communication email. Or you can even go so far as that maybe you tag the VA within your project management software and say, can you please complete this task? Here's the standard operating procedure. Like this is where you're going, Stephanie, is that you've got your VA an integral part of your project management software. You can go to Smith Street and say new warranties here. Please update appropriately. And you can drop a link right in that line item where you tagged your VA with the SOP around how to input that information. That's where you want to ultimately be going.
I love this.
Everything's going to be there on the drive. And it's going to be, she's going to say, okay, great. I'm going to open this document. Document says, go to the website, find the product code for the website. Here, I'm going to enter Stephanie's address, contact information, email address, the one that you want used. She's not going to be asking you, do you want this in your personal email or do you want this in your work email? Because it's going to be in the standard operating procedures. She knows how to register your all of your products, and it's done in the same systematic way every single time.
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't do an annual walkthrough with my long-term rentals. Any advice on where to find a useful starter checklist? You know what you could do? I haven't dived too much into properties on Canva, but you could actually jump onto Canva and see if there's a real estate segment. The other thing is Monday.com definitely does have a real estate area, and I'm not sure if they'll have a checklist that's exactly what you want, but they may have a framework for you to build out. And that might actually...
I have one too, Megan, actually,
okay,
that I'm happy to share. And it actually
amazing.
Becomes part of my standard lease because every year we do a walkthrough. So we do one before they take possession of the apartment to register the condition of the apartment. And then we do one subsequently. So I'm happy to share that. I just realized, Megan.
I just realized it too. We're like out of time.
We could spend hours at people really, this is so helpful for so many people. If you guys are okay, maybe what we do is we let Megan finish, and then are you okay to stay a few minutes, Megan, and address all the questions in the Q&A? And then I'll record everything. It'll still come out with the recording. So if you have to jump back to the kids or back to work, you go ahead, you'll have the results or you'll have the end by the end of the week. But I feel like this makes such a difference for people, Megan.
Good. I'm so thrilled to hear that. I'm happy to go over for you guys. Okay, I'm just going to go back. Yes, mental bandwidth is huge, you guys. The more things you can take off your plate and rapid fire, the easier. Yes, it's good. Recorded. What time or other operations can I gain from automating this? Michelle, I'm assuming that's a question that you're asking yourself, is that yes, the more automation you can put in place, the more you can do other things. Okay, there's lots of interest in the checklist, Elizabeth, so that would be fantastic. So then that checklist, right? We can take that checklist, we can put it into our project management software as a template. And then every time we go do this walkthrough, we just duplicate it. So we've got another property coming up. It's Mulberry Street. We're going to duplicate the walkthrough checklist and we're going to go through it. You can even then, if you wanted to go so far, you could even go to having it on your phone. Then you can check through as you go on your phone because you've now got a Monday.com app there. Okay, so a couple prompting questions. When you take a look at your business as a whole here, in all of these areas, what am I good at? What steps am I doing that are getting me closer to my goal? Do I like it? And where do I want to be in a year? Those are going to help you identify what some of the tasks are that are the key driving tasks that you're going to spend an extra 18 minutes a day on. And then the low value tasks that you could potentially hire a VA or start to outsource, or maybe get your business partner or spouse to do it as well. So they use these prompting questions for some of the journaling work that you're going to do to get really clear on where you're going. Okay, so how does this all get done? Because of course, at the end of the day, nobody has time. Time is, that eternal currency that just goes way too fast. So here's a couple tips that I like to use. Time blocking on a weekly basis. If this does not work with your personality typing and you're like, but I time blocked accounting for Monday at 10 and I'm not feeling accounting on Mondays. Listen to yourself. When do you actually feel like accounting? Do you feel like accounting at 4 o'clock on Thursdays because you know that you're just about done the week and you want to get all the transactions that happened this week wrapped up? Really tuning into yourself and where you actually flow best in your business is going to be really instrumental. I know that there are entrepreneurs in my network community that put the kids to bed and do work at night and fall asleep with their computer open. That is not me. You will never find me doing accounting after 8 p.m. because that is not in my wheelhouse. So making sure that you know your personality type to actually be able to pinpoint times during the week that you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm in the mindset. Or Mondays, I'm going to go to the coffee shop for the first 2 hours of the day, and that's where I'm going to reconcile my accounting. And then taking a look at outsourcing. What tasks can be outsourced? How big and small are they? Lay out clear expectations. Like this week, I want to accomplish X, Y, and Z. What's going to stop me from getting those expectations done? And then adding reasonable task lists to your list the night before. I don't want you waking up on a Tuesday morning and tomorrow and saying, okay, what am I doing today? Before you go to sleep, know your clear priorities for tomorrow. Only pick 2 or 3 of them. Because if you create a laundry list of 10 things, I'll tell you right now, you're going to feel like not very good tomorrow night when you go to bed, because none of those things are going to be done. You might accomplish 3 or 4 of them. That would be incredible. But we put so many things on our task list typically, and then we end up in this repeating habit of the mindset of like, oh, I didn't accomplish much. I didn't get much done today. I'm super frustrated. I wish I got further ahead, because we make our list way too big. So make your list small and tight so that you can get 3 or 4 things done tomorrow, and then you can go to bed feeling really awesome that you moved ahead on your goals. I'm going to review this quick case study. So a client came to me, he's a private lender. He was ready to grow. We reviewed his entire business and highlighted areas that needed priority attention. So when I work with clients, I primarily work one-to-one with clients. I do love getting in depth. I love getting the raw, vulnerable things that are happening in the business and really dissecting your business to help you grow. So we took a look at the marketing. What needed to be done on the marketing? We needed full branding. We needed a full website redesign. We needed social media training. We needed a marketing strategy. We needed everything. But we had to understand first what platforms are going to be most valuable for this client. Well, in this case, it's going to be Instagram. Website is going to be huge because we drive a ton of education there. Around videos and YouTube, the YouTube channel and things, and understanding which what his actual marketing messages was. And as far as sales go, there's only one person in this company selling right now. There will be another person in 2 to 3 years probably, but for right now, all the sales need to be done through this one person. So what they had to do is we actually had to take things off of his plate so we could increase the level of selling, decrease the level of tasks, the low level tasks. They're not bringing the money into the business. And then we took a look at accounting finance. We implemented new accounting software. We streamlined the low value tasks away from this person into the administrator role. And as far as the other roles in the company, we actually created 3 brand new roles for the family business that was growing as the children were coming in. It's a multi-generational business. We created a job description and roles and responsibilities around what fit for personality types. So there's also another area that I absolutely adore linking into HR, making sure that you're understanding what type of personality they have. Whatever you love and desire, it could be, oh gosh, there's so many different ways to do personality typing these days. But whatever resonates with you, run the people that you're working with through personality typing. You might even do it with your business partner or your spouse so that you can understand the rationale behind how they make decisions. So what we did is we created the job roles and responsibilities based on these 3 different individuals' personalities best fitting into the role. And then we took a look at operations and we divided all those tasks into new employees, and we created standard operating procedures for everything linked back to the company. Because at the end of the day, if one person can't execute on a marketing plan because they are away for 2 weeks, somebody needs to step in and do that marketing plan. It still needs to get done. The business still needs to move on. People need vacations. They need holidays and breaks. So any repeatable tasks, we create a standard operating procedure around. And then we also did those repeatable tasks as far as client communications goes. So we started new email addresses, business email addresses, made sure that all clients are getting the same communication moving ahead as investors every single time. So there's consistency there. The motto that we follow with this company is 100% customer satisfaction. We want to make sure that everyone is just feeling so supported, so well communicated with, that we have consistency in our business all the time, that we are offering 100% customer satisfaction. All right, let's chat about your business. So Elizabeth and I had planned to have a bunch of time where you guys can bring up some of your cases and some of your questions and things like that. Clearly we're out of time. Elizabeth, how much longer do you want to go for here?
Well, I think maybe what we should do is maybe I'll do the webinar wrap up, and then we can loop back and just ask the questions that are there. I think will be helpful for people if we can do that. All right. So Megan, did you want to pick a number between 1 and 67? And Mary Beth will determine who that lucky person is who's getting an elite ticket to the multifamily conference.
Yeah, let's do 37.
Wonderful. Okay, 37. That's awesome. Okay, so Mary Beth will be reaching out. Mary Beth's my virtual assistant. She will be reaching out to lucky number 37, and they will get a ticket to the to the multifamily conference. If you are new to my real estate investing community, I do webinars like this one with Meghan all the time, where we're just looking to add value and great information to the world of real estate investing. So feel free to join my YouTube channel, and all my previous webinars are available for you to view there. So we have Meghan's interview will go up probably in about 2 weeks, and then there's other expert interviews as well. So I would love for you to be part of that. Here is where you can find us. I think you can tell that Meghan is an absolute wealth of information. And if you are struggling or having a tough time with your business, Meghan, I know, would love to be part of helping you figure out the solutions. And so by all means, reach out to her. She is super responsive, really organized, and on top of things, which I absolutely love. So full thumbs up for Meghan for practicing what she preaches. That's not, unfortunately, always the case sometimes when we're looking for who we want to work with. If you'd like to, the opportunity to connect with me and see if I can help you establish all the fundamentals in your business, your real estate business, I would love the opportunity to do that. I've just created something called the Real Estate Investing Compass, and it's basically a tool. It's an entire system that is designed just to help real estate investors get clarity about where they are, where they want to be, and then what they need to do in order to get there. So I think that's a great partner, I don't know, process, I guess, to go along with all the wonderful things that Meghan has been talking to us about today. And my next webinar is going to be Monday, April 24th. It's going to be with Richard Canfield from Infinite Banking. And the topic is going above and beyond for your partners, how Infinite Banking offers additional security for your investors. So for those of you who attended today, thank you so much. It was so great to see all of you. And Meghan, yes, ma'am.
We do have some questions here in the Q&A that I would love to have on the back end of the recording here. So let's answer those first before we stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So Sandra, I've been using QuickBooks Desktop to track expenses. Now they're phasing out to online only. Is there an alternative bookkeeping tracking system you would consider? I would go directly to QuickBooks Online. It's a really easy transition for you. There is QuickBooks Self-Employed, but again, if you're looking to grow your business, I would just do the transition now. It's only a few dollars more, I think, to QuickBooks Online. Everything's web-based then. There are additional expense tracking softwares that you can use, like Dext.com, DEXT, but I actually feel it's just as easy to go directly into QuickBooks Online app and scan your receipts directly from there.
I second that one.
Perfect. What systems do you suggest incorporating when hiring a VA? Again, I would go back to your high value, low value tasks and figure out what things you want this VA to do. And then from there, you can actually create a standard operating procedure. So put some work into the role of the VA first before you actually hire someone and bring them in, so that you can effectively train them and get them up and running as soon as possible. The worst thing you can do, I would say, is, sign a contract and commit to 20 hours a month. And now you're like, okay, what is this person going to do? So put the framework in place first, figure out what they're going to do, create a standard operating procedure around it, and then spend a week of time dedicated to training them and setting the expectations, making sure they're very clear, so they know exactly what they're going to be doing. And then you've got something to fall back on. If that VA works out amazingly well, fantastic, you're on your way. If the VA is not even achieving your expectations, you have already clearly laid out what the expectation was to begin with. And then they know, okay, this is not working out based on this is what I was looking for, because these were the clearly laid out expectations. Now you can move on. Chris, I wrote your name down for the VA companies as well. What do you recommend if contractors still do not follow the agreed upon invoicing timelines? What if timelines don't allow for work to pause? What are the other ways to encourage compliance? The very first thing you want to do, this is a change management component, Kendra, is that you're going to be making sure that you're actually communicating in a very clear way what the payment plan is going to be first. So first thing, if they're still not paying on time, is I would say, have you made it clear enough to them? Have you communicated with them in an open way that they know exactly what is being asked of them and what the step-by-step process is? If you haven't done that, I would encourage you to do that across the board. Everyone gets the same communication. This is how we pay out. The next thing you can do is actually to have a heart-to-heart conversation with them as a real person. These are the boundaries that I need to put in place to run my business. What Is there anything that is, limiting you or stopping you from this, and have those hard conversations. A lot of times they might say, oh, it's my backend is a mess, or oh, I can't get my accounting software organized, or it's usually going to be, there's going to be a reason behind it. And so I would encourage you to go to those two things first, laying clearly expectations and then asking them what's preventing them. Okay, Stephanie, what's tips for creating SOP? I think this is the biggest stumbling block for me to create a system. Basically, it's like a checklist, essentially. So I always say to people, if I came into your business tomorrow and needed to communicate with this supplier, what would the steps be that I need to do? So think of it as me coming into your business and lay out step by step. So let's use the walkthrough as an example. What's the address of the property? What date did you go view it? And then where do you start? You're going to start on the outside, you're going to start on the inside, you're going to start with the big devices. And basically in your mind, walk yourself through what that process is and record every single line item. It doesn't need to be fancy. It can just be bullet points, or it can be numbers. But the faster you get things down on the paper, you'll find it, the easier it will be to find where the holes are. And don't start with SOPing your entire business. Start with SOPing one area of your business. I often see a VA list tasks, but I think there's a difference to just VA task list and knowing the step-by-step practical way of implementing into my business. Yeah, I think that, again, it goes and go back to communication and expectations. The more clearly you can lay that task list out for them, the easier it's going to be. And then making sure that you have the person who actually has the skill set that you actually need. Because if they don't have the skills, then that might be actually limiting them from achieving some of the tasks. There we go.
That was amazing. Thank you, Meghan.
You're welcome.
I think you brought so much clarity to so many people today. And for those of you who have questions or would like additional support, reach out to Meghan. You can reach out to me. And Meghan, I feel like we need to do a part 2 at some point.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely. You guys can take your questions that are hot off the press from today and put them into an email for Elizabeth. Let her know, and we'll wrap that into the next presentation. I'd love that.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to everybody for attending today. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And I wish you guys a wonderful rest of your day and a fantastic rest of your week. And hopefully we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. And there's going to be more sort of in-person opportunities. So I'd love to connect with all you guys, whether it's at multifamily or, networking meetings or events or anything like that.
Absolutely. Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.